Hey, it's Jeremy here and welcome to the StationOne version 31.0 release update video. It's certainly been a busy week here with the predominant focus in the platform this week of uplifting and aligning our existing fire hydrant feature to take into account all of the user requests that we've had and also match user expectation with regards to that feature. So we have also, as usual, fixed a couple of bugs and made a few changes in the platform. However, the predominant amount of this feature release is around our hydrants feature. So we'll take a look at some of that now and see just what we've done. So if we navigate into our hydrants, the first thing that you're going to notice very quickly is that we now have some additional coloured hydrant markers on our map. In our development environment here, we've got a few added, but effectively the platform will now show you every hydrant within the state hydrant database that we have access to. So obviously we understand that that's not going to be all of the hydrants. That data source can tend to lag behind by a couple of years, particularly when new estates and things have been built and those reticulated mains and fire plugs have been installed. However, overarching, the platform will by default now load every hydrant, and you'll be able to see them both through the admin console, which we can see here now on the screen, and we can also see those through both the web-based and the native-based station portal in the hydrant features. So with regards to the colours that we're seeing, firstly in the centre here we've got our brigade's claimed hydrants. So these are the hydrants that currently exist within the brigade's response area, which has been submitted into the platform previously. And you can see there's been some testing of some of these hydrants with the colours changing to represent the test state on those. Looking north of our brigade's response area, we can see a number of grey hydrants that are appearing. The grey markers across all of the interfaces indicate that these hydrants exist within the platform, but they have not been claimed by a brigade into their primary response area. So what that means is with the grey hydrants is that we can now click on those, we can view the hydrant details, and we can also inspect any unclaimed hydrants. So if the hydrant is grey, anyone can perform an inspection on that hydrant, and that will be recorded against the hydrant until such a time that a brigade may make claim to that hydrant. Once a brigade has claimed the hydrant, they are then the only unit within the platform that is able to perform those hydrant inspections. And once that claiming process has occurred, the hydrant colour will change to purple. So this indicates that another brigade has claimed those hydrants through their response area. So we can still look at these. You can see it tells us that it's claimed by another unit, and we'll see any fault reports that are generated by the inspections conducted by that claiming unit as well. So if they go out and they test that hydrant and they make any failures on that inspection process, that will also replicate itself when we view that hydrant there. Likewise applies to the unclaimed grey hydrants as well. So if someone has performed a test on that hydrant, you will get back the actual status, the test status, and any faults that exist within that hydrant. So that's a big step forward in terms of the platform being able to prepare fire brigades for emergency response, being able to have access to all of that hydrant data that exists. Obviously, brigades can still create their own hydrants manually into the system. So if you do identify any hydrants that are missing from the data set, you can create them. They will not be overwritten through any of the sync process in the future should those hydrants end up getting added to the state-based hydrant databases. Beyond that, we've also added we're capturing the time that a hydrant fault was reported to the authority. So if you generate your hydrant report and select your failed inspections only, you'll now have the option to mark these hydrants as reported. So you'll basically get a little icon that will show up next to each hydrant, and that indicates that hydrant's fault as a result of the inspection has been submitted to the relevant authority for follow-up. So if we have a look here, we can see these two particular hydrants here, 7040 and 7040-29. These two hydrants have been reported to the relevant authority with regards to their maintenance status, and basically that status will be cleared at such a time that either the hydrant is inspected and passed, or we can go in and we can manually clear that service state on it if we have had any communications to suggest that that hydrant may have been repaired since the time of our report. So we've added that so you can clearly visually identify which hydrants and how long it has been since they were reported to the Water Authority. We've also added into our settings menu our hydrant inspection settings. So this now allows you to modify the questions that are asked during a hydrant inspection. We certainly understand and learning through our users that some areas do not have all of these particular items. So things like the white road triangles are not consistent across the state. Or not applicable in certain states. So we now give you the option to turn off those system defined checks, and you can now add your own custom checks into the system. So these will appear obviously as a yes no, where a no will fail that. You can also have the option of not applicable for things like, road reflector, as an example, can't exist on a gravel road. So if you're putting in your own custom questions, you can also have that not applicable apply to that question as well. So that's now been included, so you can customize your hydrant check questions, and that data will be replicated against any test results. So if we have a look and we added our custom question, you can see that now appears in our inspection history, and that will also be included against any reports from the platform for this hydrant or any hydrant fault reports and things like that. That will all get output in line with that. We've also added the ability to propose a new and updated location for a hydrant in the case that crews go out to perform an inspection and they're unable to locate the hydrant. So now during our inspection process, if we have a look in the inspection form, you can see we've got an option for this hydrant is in the wrong location. So if your members are doing their hydrant checks via the station portal, there is an approval workflow that applies to this. So you will be notified that an approval is required for the location change, but we can simply drag and drop the pin. We can put in a reason for that here. We can do our normal hydrant inspection through here. And what this will actually do is it will manually move that hydrant. So you can see we've triggered the location correction proposal for the purposes of this demo. And you can see that I've suggested a location. It's actually here during this inspection. So I can approve that. And now we'll see a flag appears that says that this hydrant has been manually adjusted, and that location field will not be overwritten on future synchronization from the hydrant upstream data source. So basically this is a way to recorrect any hydrants that may appear in the wrong location, and you can have a relevant and up-to-date list of your hydrant locations within the platform. Finally, we've also added our operational use flag. So you can see we now have an option here for logging use. If we log the use, it will ask us the pressure, so our compound pressure and KPA that we received once we came up on that hydrant. Obviously noting that in majority of our areas, the fire service is not able to physically connect and flow water through a hydrant for the purposes of testing. However, if you do use a hydrant for operational use, we can now start collecting that data back on those hydrants. So we can say that this was 400 kPa at the time that we used it, and we'll record that use. And basically what you also get now is the operational use history. So if that hydrant has been used multiple times, we'll actually get that running log of every time that unit used it, and we can see that pressure there. With the operational use of a hydrant, it differs slightly to the inspect hydrant with regards to claimed and unclaimed hydrants within the platform. Basically, you can log an operational use against any hydrant in the platform, be it one that is claimed by your brigade, an unclaimed hydrant, or a claimed hydrant by another brigade, only for the reason that we felt that was quite relevant information to be able to capture into the platform. And you may be the second arriving appliance, which ends up performing that boost off the reticulated supply, in which case your appliance is going to be the one that has the compound pressure coming off the hydrant, so you're able to log that directly into the platform. As I said, all of these features are now replicated into our station portal, so you will see that effectively we can see all of our claimed hydrants by our unit here, and as we zoom out and move the map around, we start to get more of those hydrants basically loading into the system. As I said, we can inspect these and we can log operational use on these hydrants that are unclaimed, and with our claimed hydrants, if we move back down south, we can see we can just log an operational use of this hydrant here, so we can put in, you know, our pressure and our use against that particular hydrant there, and all the functionality for our regular hydrant inspections remains the same. We have also added the ability to put in a pipe diameter during a hydrant inspection. So if you do know that information and have it available to you, in most cases we've noted that this is not coming from the available data sources. So once you've popped that pipe diameter in during an inspection, that will become a persistent pipe diameter attached to that particular hydrant. I think we don't have any that have been updated in the current data set, but basically just putting in that pipe diameter when you complete your inspection and going through the normal workflow. You can also see at the bottom here our custom question that we added into our inspection checklist, so we can submit that now, and that will have given us a pipe diameter reading back on whichever particular hydrant that was in the data set. So as you can see, we've made quite a range of changes into the hydrants part of the StationOne platform, and as noted, all of those changes are replicated with respect to their existing permission flows into our web-based station portal and also our native app. So that's a complete update across the board for all of the hydrant functions. If you do have anything else that you feel as though we may have missed with regards to our hydrants, then more than happy for you to reach out and provide that feedback. As I said, all of this has been collected up over the last month or two from brigades who are very active in their hydrant management and hydrant inspection. So if there are any additional fields that we've missed or overlooked in this process, then you're more than welcome to provide that information to us, and we'll include those as features. In addition to that, a few other minor features. You'll see now if we edit a room, we have a available period that the room is available for booking, provided that it is active for room booking. This can be used for things like transient training props and stuff that may be delivered to brigades. You want these to be bookable either by members of your own brigade or other brigades, in which case you can set the available period for the time that that prop will be in situ, and you can distribute the public link for people to be able to come through and book that depending on your approval state. So it may be a more convenient way to allow other brigades access to some of that equipment that may be placed at certain locations around the place. So that's been added to our rooms. We have done some minor changes based on feedback again to our development plans, most notably the fact that we can now reorder steps in our development plan under a particular section, and we can also do that in our pathway templates as well. So if we've got our pathway template here, we can move those items around. We've also added the option to add other, so that was missing from the templates, but it existed within the create development plan section. So we've added that into our templating system here now as well. We've also added the ability to export members' progress via PDF for the skills maintenance system. So if you want to print them out and display them or give them to members or something like that, obviously noting that members are able to have access to the skills plan specifically relating to their progress within the station portal, you can most certainly print this out now and display that in the station. Like with previous versions, everything is documented in our changelog, and all of our documentation regarding the feature changes and updates have also been added into our documentation site. So that's been kept up to date. So you can see a couple of other changes and fixes have been included in this release, but obviously a significant amount of work went into uplifting that hydrant functionality within the platform. So that's it for the version 31.0 release of StationOne. As usual, we'll be back next week with another feature release video. We do have quite a bunch of stuff queued up for that particular feature. So until then, enjoy. Please continue to provide feedback. It's all welcome and it's all very much appreciated. Thank you.